Alright, so we got a quick video today. We're going to talk about rust. So rust is coming into Kansas. It's more in the south central part of the Kansas right now. It looks like leaf rust might be the major one this year, but stripe rust is right behind it. So a lot of farmers are asking, man, should we be spraying for rust? Is this going to be an issue on our farm? And it's really kind of hard to answer that question this year because wheat prices are down. And it just makes kind of the economics tough. But we'll discuss that in a second. Let's get into the fungus and how it moves throughout, Kansas, and really it's the whole United States that's moving. So rust is actually an obligate host. It only will attack wheat. Close plants to wheat, it'll do the same thing, like I think jointed groat grass it might, but the bulk of it is going to be the wheat that is attacking. And it needs to have wheat in order to live. So if there's no wheat, it's not going to be a problem. So if we think about wheat, we plant it in the fall, it goes dormant, and really that's not a very good time for rust to be there because they can't survive. Plus it's too cold, and rust has to survive way down south in South Texas, North Mexico, stuff like that, or areas like that. And then once temperatures warm up, the wheat starts growing, like here we see today. They'll go ahead and move on up with the wind. So it really depends on the wind direction, how prominent the wind is. But typically in America, in the spring, the wind is moving quite readily south to north, bringing those rust spores. One other thing that rust needs to infect a plant is it needs moisture on the leaves. So if we don't have any moisture, we have a very dry spring, it probably won't be as big of an issue. Now this year we've been quite wet in Kansas, and we have thick wheat as we see in this field right here, and this will promote rust spores infecting the wheat plants. So all it takes is a damp morning, you got some moisture on the wheat leaves that lasts, into the morning, a rust spore comes in, lands, it can go ahead and infect that plant. And you should be looking for this. It'll likely develop on the lower part of the plant and then move on up because your lower canopy will be where it is the most moist in the morning. And you'll see those rust spots start to form. So now that we know kind of about the rust cycle and how it needs to have that living plant in order to survive, let's talk about control options. So the first thing we want to focus on is what wheat variety did we plant this year. So wheat varieties will have different susceptibilities to stripe rust and leaf rust, and I guess we're not talking about wheat streak mosaic, but also wheat streak mosaic. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go find, a booklet, from a university that'll tell you, what the rating is for this particular wheat variety. And the field we're standing in right now is actually TAM 114, and it is actually very resistant to stripe rust. However, leaf rust it doesn't do as good on. So if leaf rust is going to be our primary fungus this year, we might want to think about spraying this field. Now if it was reverse and leaf rust was the bigger thing for this year, or stripe rust I should say, then maybe we can kind of get by without spraying this field, save a little bit of money. We may not see as big a response to our fungicide application. One other thing, when you are timing your fungicide application is, one, we need to see where rust is at in the state. If rust is clear off and 200-300 miles away from us, there may not be a huge incentive to go out there right away and spray for that fungus. We may want to wait until that rust gets a little bit closer to us so we can have prolong our fungicide to last a little bit longer into our grain fill and protect it that much longer. So one thing you're going to want to focus at when you're timing your herbicide application is the first thing, if you're only going to do one application. I know in Missouri they're doing 2 applications just because they have a much more humid environment, but in Kansas, especially northwest Kansas, really we're going to want to wait until our flag leaf starts to emerge, because this is our driver leaf when we go to grain fill. So let me come up here really quick and I'll just pull out a leaf here, and we can see that there is our leaf before our flag leaf, and this one coming out is actually our flag leaf, and it's not unrolled yet. So the issue with spraying too early is that the fungicide will protect whatever it comes in contact with. So if you're out and you spray your wheat at this stage when all your flag leaves are just getting started, they're not really that developed and opened up yet, you're not going to protect that flag leaf. So this leaf will still be susceptible to rust. So you're going to want to wait until this leaf gets out and is fully opened up before you want to spray your field. And then after it is opened up, it's not a let's go spray right away type of a thing. This is where you need to go look at your map, see what rust is prominent or what species is prominent, and go ahead and time your fungicide application according to when you believe that rust is going to impact your crop. So now let's get into fungicides a little bit. So there are two main types of fungicides that you're going to be spraying on your wheat. That's going to be a curative and a preventative. So the curative will just cure whatever's infecting your plant at this moment in time. So that means if you have a rust spore that lands, a week after application, it's not going to control that leaf rust. There's another product, or shouldn't say product, but these are more a series of products that are preventatives, and this is going to prevent that rust spore from infecting that plant for a prolonged period of time. Now I don't know the exact window that it protects, but I believe it's about 2 to 3 weeks is all the protection you get. So you're going to want to time it according to, like I said, where your wheat rust is at. We don't want to spray too early and run out of our protection at the end of grain fill. However, at the same token, we do want to protect our plant if we do have rust coming in early in the season that could infect our flag leaf, which is actually this one. And the other thing is, when we visually see rust, it's kind of going back a little bit. When you visually see rust, it's actually going to be about 2 weeks after it already infected our plant. We don't see those pustules until 2 weeks later. So if you see that there's rust on your bottom leaves, there's a chance that it might already be moving up your plant, and that's when you need to time your fungicide application. So with that, I think with our thick wheat this year, especially northwest Kansas, we're going to be running into some rust issues depending on how wet it is and what our predominant wind is. And right now it's looking like leaf rust and stripe rust are about equal. Leaf rust may have the edge a little bit on it, but really both of them are prominently kind of in the south central part of the state, and they are spreading as of the last few weeks. So if you look below in this video, I'll go ahead and post a link to the current map of rust, and maybe I'll post some links to some fungicides that you could apply to your wheat. So hope you guys have a great day. Hope this helps you out when you're making your management decisions for leaf rust, and so happy that we're back out in the field. We are talking about wheat, so I think we'll have more videos kind of like this one in the future. And I also got a new microphone for the camera, so hopefully you can hear me decent. It is blowing probably about 5 miles an hour out here, so hopefully there's no wind issues with the audio. So with that, we'll catch you next time. We'll see what we're doing. It'll really depend on what I'm up to with my plots and everything. So with that, we will catch you guys later.